Hi there, welcome to Freehand Architecture. Let's have a look at a couple of beginner drawings. Basically drawings that you need to go through so you get to the advanced ones, okay? We don't want to stay in this too much, but it's the base, right? It's the fundamentals, and then you build up on this, okay? Right, so what are we looking at here? This is basic technical drawing. These are drawings my students sent over for review. And yeah, this is a composition. This is a constructed perspective of a house, simple three-story house. These are simple sketches, this one and this one, okay, done on smaller A4 sheets. This is a composition, a simple volumes composition, and a more advanced composition with objects, more sketches for buildings, and another composition. You can see that they're beginner level, right? They're not perfect. They are missing a couple of things, which is very good because it's the way you will learn. Okay, so for this technical, these are basically triple projections for the simple volumes. This is a cube, this is a prism, this is a rectangular prism, this is a pyramid. It's missing a couple of edges in planar view. Right, if we just zoom into this, you can see that let me just draw these with direct lines. Right, if you have a look at this, you'll notice that basically you need these edges, so this actually looks like a pyramid. You've got all the faces going down, they're inclined. Okay, simple 3D vision. Just have a look. Okay, this is a sphere. There's a small shadow mistake, I think, here with the sphere. I think the cast shadow would have fallen just a bit more towards the right. Okay, but regardless, these are very good. They've got good basically construction lines, contour lines, thick lines for the cast shadows, then a bit of hatching to get the volumes looking proper. Next, simple self-portrait composition. We've got for this simple self-portrait composition, we've got the simple basically you know, objects that are put together in a composition and are creating the final effect, so to speak, okay, of a yeah, a composition that basically says something about the author. Okay, it's a self-portrait. It's like my student here just basically likes the classical stuff more, right? You can tell, right? All these so to speak, like 60s or 50s references, right? Stuff like this. Obviously this needs to be hatched, but again, very good stuff. This is a simple constructed perspective of a basically cube house, a building that's got a ground floor and 2 extra floors on top, and it's basically just a simple intersection of volumes. This is what creates the final drawing. This is a beginner sketch. As always, I recommend beginners start off just by drawing with freehand, right? Don't go for a ruler, just go for freehand. If you're making mistakes, that's fine. It's obviously normal to make line drawing mistakes. This just needs to look like that. It needs to have like the back edges showing. There's a perspective point on the right, and unfortunately this looks like it's a 1-point perspective, like this is parallel to the horizon line, which in itself is a right, a perspective mistake, right? And speaking of which, there's also a perspective mistake here. The horizon line needs to be a bit lower, right? Something like this, right? Ideally even lower. If you have a look here, this is kind of more appropriate, right? Something like that. It's actually going down a bit more. Right, you need to see the top base here. Right, next up, again, another perspective. You'll see all these things. My students are obviously struggling with spatial vision at this stage. You need to have this basically like this flat box here. Go towards the perspective point on the left. These lines need to go in perspective as well, etc. This simple composition is with simple volumes. Again, the volumes that we previously drew in technical drawing, and now we are going to slap them in a composition, and this looks kind of good. It's got very good clarity, very good contrast. Again, stuff like this, contrast. This helps quite a bit in getting you the clarity, you know, getting you a drawing that looks the part. Okay, let's move on. This is with real life objects, so this is the next level. In fairness, composition works this way. You're starting off with the simple volumes composition, then you go for the basically the real life objects, and then you go for the where is it the self-portrait composition, right? This is kind of the progression, but we are not just going to focus on composition, we are going to basically work on all fronts. Okay, so perspective, a bit of sketching, a bit of composition. Again, more perspective. This is actually very good. It's got very good line drawing. If you're a beginner and you draw like this, this is actually very good. You've got a really good start, but you know, don't let your guard down. Don't just you know, don't just think that you're there yet, because again, each of these assignments kind of builds up on your skill set and resets your skill set to almost zero. So if you're good at this, it doesn't guarantee that you'll be good at the technical or at the more advanced compositions. It kind of, just like with design work, it kind of says that, you know, you're heading in the right direction, but it's not you know, a guarantee of basically, you know, you being there. And this is kind of a more messy look, which is also good. It works fairly well with basically you trying for your first drawings. You need to kind of focus on basically filling the page as well as you can. Draw large drawings, do your best to construct the back edges, and basically construct everything else, and then go for the hatching. We are going to hatch just two things: shadows, which are the shadowed faces, and the cast shadows, and materials, which are these bad boys here, the wooden texture there. Okay, so short recap: composition mixed with technical drawing, with a bit of constructed perspective, a bit of building sketches. Go for freehand drawing as much as you can, right? For freehand lines, the best thing that you could do is follow the 4-step formula, right? Number 1, fill the page with lines, so basically fill everything here with lines. 2, triangles plus T-bar, right? Just to get the clarity, to thicken over those lines, those freehand lines. Don't try to go for you know, a ruler for, you know, triangles from the first attempt, because that's going to create trouble. You know, you end up with a very crisp, rigid line drawing. You don't want that. You want something that's crisp and free flowing. Okay, so start off with freehand drawing, then go for triangles and right T-bar, then go for hatching. You're going to go again for hatching shadows and materials. Okay, and then 4, after all of that, re-thicken. So basically we are going to re-thicken all these lines. Okay, this kind of needs a bit more thickness here, right? And this is the type of volume that's again making sense. Obviously my student could have gone for more crisp edges. Even if you exaggerate them like so when you're re-thickening, it's all good. It works. Okay, it's going to get you you know, that architectural feel to your work. Right, let's thicken the back edges as well. Right, you can, when you're thickening, you can thicken the construction as well and over thicken the contour lines. You might be tempted to think that, you know, if you're over thickening, then it's bad, but it really isn't. If you've gotten a very thick line drawing, let's have a look at the composition here. Right, this type of thick line drawing, this creates a really good opportunity for you to add cast shadows and materials, right? So the thicker the line drawing, the better off the drawing is going to look, because you've got that extra level of clarity. Okay, alright, so if you like this short lesson, then you can go for the free 5-day intensive where we are going to talk about all this stuff. I'll just leave you off with the first video in the intensive, which is a tutorial on perspective. Okay, we are going to have a look at some short, really quick sketches on constructed perspective. Sorry, on sketched perspectives. I could slap in the constructed perspective as well, but you know what, it's too much. I want you to take this step by step. These beginner drawings are kind of like a starting point. You want to get these ones right, and then you can do the office buildings, the organic architectures, the Zaha Hadid stuff, and all the other cool things, right? Cool. So if you like this video, don't forget to comment, rate, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the other side. Take care and draw nicely. So, box perspectives. Let's have a look. Obviously, these 6 steps are the exact same steps we have in the free PDF. Hopefully, you've downloaded it. The fundamentals of perspective. Right. So you draw a horizon line, then you draw an intermediary. You first draw a horizon line with 2 points. Then there's an intermediary stage when you project 2 lines from the 2 points that intersect, then 2 more lines, and you form the top of your little box. Then you draw the heights, then you do the bottom, and then you thicken the contour. Right, that sounds all good, but obviously it's going to be a bit more complicated when you need to actually get this done. Right, so the above 6 steps are the fundamentals for drawing any 2-point perspective, either if it's a top-down perspective, a bottom-up, or a building view. Right, so assignment, draw on a separate A4 paper, right, on separate A4 papers, a bottom-up, top-down, and building view perspectives, and see that you get the proportion, size, and line weight at a sufficiently advanced level, right? So basically you need to draw, draw until you obviously get these boxes looking good, okay? After that, you select your top drawings for each category, hatches with the background, shadows, faces, and cast shadows, right? So you will have a couple of attempts at each of these boxes, right? When we are past these attempts, you choose your best for each category, and then you're free to do a background, a shadowed face, and cast shadow for each of the boxes. Okay, exactly like the video shows. There's obviously going to be a bit of hit and miss here because it's your first freehand drawing, and there's no easier way to get started with this than just to jump right into it. So don't forget to print off this PDF and put it in your advanced drawing and design lessons portfolio. Cool, let's get started.